Hey guys, TekGeekHD here again with another video, and recently I went on Twitter and I asked you guys to ask me some questions so I could make this video. So this is the first episode of Ask TekGeekHD, the Q&A, whatever, I don't know what I'm going to title it. But basically what you guys had to do was tweet me with the hashtag AskTGHD, and I have a bunch of questions here from you guys that I'm going to try and answer today. And also if you guys have any questions for the next episode, make sure to either tweet me with the hashtag AskTGHD or leave them in the comment section of this video, and I will definitely make sure to answer as many of them as I can. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get straight on to the video. So DS Tech asks, what is the one piece of tech you dream of getting? Probably currently the Tesla Model 3. Now it is a car, but it is also a very, very technologically advanced piece of machinery, technology, whatever you guys would like to call it. It's an insane new car. It was just released. I've always been a fan of Tesla since they came out with the Roadster based on the Lotus back in the day, and the Model S, of course, has been a great success. The Model X is out now, and I think the Model 3 is something that's pretty achievable too, and it's definitely something that I would love to get. MC Jefferson Agloro asks, how did you end up at RISD? Now, for those of you who don't know, I go to the Rhode Island School of Design. It's arguably the best art and design school in the world. It's often ranked. Every year they switch between RISD and Carnegie Mellon, Yale, I think, are the top three, and they keep fluctuating. But I think this year RISD was back on top, which is great. So I'm an industrial design student, and I've always enjoyed just building or making things with my hands. You guys can kind of see some of my Legos back there, right here. And so I think that this was generally like the very natural progression. I'm not into engineering or anything like that, but I do love building things actively with my hand, or hands rather. There's nothing that I enjoy more, and so a combination of good design, a love for technology, and a love for making led me into industrial design. I put together what was, I believe, a fairly impressive portfolio, good enough to get me into RISD, and so here I am. Canupsi asks to you, what is the perfect smartphone? It's very hard to say because actually recently, since I picked up the iPhone SE, it's actually been pretty refreshing to use a small phone. But I think that the size that I'm pretty comfortable using and that I enjoy using is the iPhone 6 at 4.7 inches. I think a smartphone at around 5 inches with a good camera and a very, very long battery life is really all I look for in a phone. I'm not really looking for very much else. I really couldn't be bothered with which platform it runs because I loved my experience on iOS, or my experience on Android back when I used to use a Nexus, and I love using iOS. I'm really comfortable using an operating system because I can make anything work for me. So long as it has a really long battery life and a really good camera, I think I'm all set with just something like that. So Suraj at Tech Devoted YT asks, are you Indian by blood? Your name sounds Indian. I don't know if you guys can tell, this is not something that's very easy to fake. Of course I'm Indian. My name is AADITYAA. I'm brown. I feel like I thought that was kind of just understood by everybody at this point. My name is AADITYAA, which I believe is a pretty common Indian name. I think mine is the only one that I've ever seen that's spelt with 2 A's in the front instead of 1. I've only ever met 2 other people named AADITYAA, and their names started with only 1 A. But I don't know. Yes, I'm absolutely Indian. I was born and raised in Dubai my entire life, and I'm a permanent resident of and live in the US now. I actually did live in India from 2011 to 2014, so you guys definitely saw videos from me when I lived in India. But yeah, I'm Indian, absolutely. Okay, so Tristan Payton at SwagTDog, awesome Twitter handle, asks, what camera do you use primarily for YouTube and Instagram? I use the Canon 70D. It has a Sigma 18-35 f1.8 lens attached to it, which is actually really wonderful. I love the lens. I picked it up not too long ago. There's an unboxing on my channel, I think, somewhere, but it is an absolutely wonderful lens. I just love it. So Matt Gonzalez, friend of mine, asks, what is your dream job? Now this is kind of subjective because of the field that I'm going into. I'm an industrial designer, and this means that I can work in a number of different fields, from user interface and user experience, UI UX, to building furniture, to building and designing cars and appliances and consumer electronics. I really don't have too much of a preference at this point, since I'm still pretty early on in my education and, following career, but I feel like just is something that I would, somewhere where I could hang out all day and just build things for a living is really my ideal job. Now, I know that I would definitely like to have enough money to satisfy my car enthusiasm, but outside of that, I feel like there's not too much I look for. I think just making things with my hands satisfies me the most in this world. And so that's probably what I would do. So Avi Seth asks, India versus America, pros and cons. Now, this is a pretty touchy subject because I've been, at least in my personal social realm, have been known not to be the biggest fan of India, and that's, I think, really from my personal experiences of having lived there. Now, I was relatively young when I moved there. I was like 14, 15 years old, and I didn't come into it as open-minded as I could have. My circumstances for moving to India were also beyond my control, and so I feel like I came into it with a fairly biased outlook. I never really wanted to leave Dubai. It was my home. I'd always grown up there, and I didn't really love the idea of moving to a new place. And unfortunately, I just had a terrible set of experiences there, but, you know, that's a point in my life that I feel like was still a learning experience. And so I've moved on from it. I think I look back now and feel like it was still definitely a valuable experience. As for pros and cons, I really don't want to offend anybody, so I'm not going to go into a lot of the details in terms of experiences I had. But since this is a tech channel, let's just say that I find the internet infrastructure a lot better in the United States as compared to a country like India. I think a lot of that can be attributed to the corruption and the size of the population and the lack of management on a technological front. So, yeah, I mean, the internet infrastructure in the US isn't great, but it's still worlds apart from what it is in India. A good internet connection in India is somewhere between 2 and 6 megabits per second, where as that's barely even considered an internet connection here in the US. I feel like most of the connections I've ever been a part of or have used or seen start from, and a good connection would be considered at least around 25 to 30 megabits and up. My personal internet connection is about 120 megabits down and 100 megabits up, which I think works pretty well for me because it's also unlimited data, which is great. And I never get throttled, which is awesome. Okay, so Anthony from @ANTYN21 asks, is there any particular phone you'd like to get your hands on and review? So recently I picked up the iPhone SE, and I will definitely have a review for you guys coming out very soon. If it isn't already up, I don't know when I'm uploading this video, but if it is, there'll be a link in the description. Is there any other particular phone you'd like to review? So I'd been wanting to get my hands on the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge, and now I finally do have the opportunity, but I feel like it's a little bit late for them to be particularly relevant in the YouTube space, since a lot of YouTubers have already put out their reviews, and a lot of what I have to say is probably, I think, from the impressions that I get from using them very briefly, is going to be along the similar spectrum of people's opinions. But if you guys would like to see that, let me know. Outside of that, I feel like the LG G5 is a phone that I'm actually pretty excited for. I haven't been excited about a phone launch like this for a while, and that's really something that I'm waiting to get my hands on and make a video for you guys. So Trust Macintosh asks, when are you scheduled to graduate? Also, what are your career goals, and what will happen to your YouTube channel post-graduation? So I'm scheduled to graduate in May 2019, and what career goals will I have? I think that goes back to the question that Matt asks about what I want to do after college. But I feel like my career goals are really just to get a job at a good company, so I can start work, build an even better portfolio, get some more experience, and hopefully raise enough capital to eventually start my own design company or my own design-based think tank or something like that, because I really feel that design is generally the direction that we're going to need to follow for the continuation of our species on this planet and just the general evolving of our day-to-day lives. What's going to happen to my YouTube channel? I think I'm probably going to keep running it. I love making YouTube videos, and I really don't make any money off of this. It's not even funny, but I think that this has always just been something that I've really enjoyed. I love the engagement with my viewers and just the process of creating. I'm an artistic person. I go to an art school, and so putting things together, whether digitally or physically, is something I enjoy. So I'm probably going to keep doing it. Okay, @Sahil_YT asks, what's your setup looking like and what are your favorite apps? So I'm not sure which setup you're referring to, but as for my desk setup, I have an LG 34 UC87C ultra wide monitor, a 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro and a Klipsch 2.1 Media Pro Media speakers. I've uploaded a lot of pictures about my desk setup, and I have they're all on Instagram, so if you guys follow me on Instagram at TekGeekHD, and that's also linked in the description, you're going to see probably a picture of my setup like once every couple of days. And as for my mobile setup, I'm using an iPhone 6, well, outside of the SE for testing purposes. My main personal phone is an iPhone 6, and some of the apps that I use generally are Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram. Those are really just the basic applications that I feel like everyone uses. Nobatech asks, if you could only make one series or type of video for the rest of your life, what would it be? Probably a desk setup tour video. I make those very often, and I've tried to tone it down, but I enjoy making them, and that's probably what I would keep doing. And I think a follow-up question to this is, what are your top 3 favorite desk setups on YouTube? And I knew that this was coming because Jerry knows that I love his setup. So absolutely, Jerry's setup is going to be in my top 3. These are in no particular order because I love all 3 of these. But absolutely, Nobatech Jerryland setup is going to be on there. I love Dom's setup from Mac Mixing. He has the monitor that I'm using, but he has 2 of them on a very similar setup to Jerry's from Nobatech. So I think that kind of works together really well. And then also, I don't know how many of you know Carl Conrad. He makes some pretty sick videos. He's a Canadian YouTuber, but his setup looks pretty sweet too. It's the all white and orange. I think that isn't a combination that we've seen on YouTube a lot. We see a lot of like purples and whites and reds and blacks, but I think orange and red looks really or orange and white looks really nice. And I think that Carl managed to pull that off really well. He has a 5K iMac and these beautiful Yamaha speakers, and I think that it just looks amazing. So those are my top 3 setups on YouTube. And that about does it for these questions, guys. I wish I could have got some more to answer, and I will definitely be having another one of these episodes soon, again, if you guys would like to see it. So if you guys have any questions for me, remember to tweet me at TekGeekHD with the hashtag AskTGHD, and also just leave all your other questions in the comment section of this video, and I'll make sure to answer as many of them as I can in the next video. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed this. If you did too, please do let me know by leaving a thumbs up on this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.